everybody. I was very pleased to see a glass of fizz in most people's hands, because I think that means, are we in the mood to party today? Are we? Are we in the mood to celebrate? Are we in the mood to laugh and cry and to clap our little hands red raw as we celebrate the inspiring women of 2018? Are we? Are we ready? We've got some amazing women in this room, amazing. It's a relief to see you're all in the mood for celebrating them as well. Well, last year it was 25 years of the Inspiring Women's Awards. This year we start the next quarter of a century, championing the amazing women who make their fortunes, make everybody around them feel a bit better about themselves, and also sometimes strike it rich as well. We have the usual shenanigans this afternoon, and we'll be talking to some of our amazing nominees and meeting some pretty special people who'll be handing out the awards this afternoon. And they include some of the stars from showbiz. Anyway, it's all about partying today, it's all about celebrating. And a party ain't a party, is it? Unless you have the queen of the girls' get-together, the la-la landlady of the liquid lunch, and the inspiring woman supreme. Please welcome to the stage the woman who's been the driving force behind these awards for the last 25 years, Jacqueline Hughes-Lundy.
I am off in La La Land most of the time, actually. So, welcome to the 26th Annual Inspiring Women Awards. Each year, we welcome new guest award announcers who bring their own inspiring and entertaining stories to the proceedings. So, after thanking my sponsors, Lancashire School of Business and Enterprise at UCLan, thank you. Deloitte, BBC Radio Manchester, the Midland Hotel and Cheshire Life and Lancashire Life. And thank you, to everyone who's helped, donated, bought a ticket, been a winner, been a finalist, been a nominee. For those of you that are back joining us today, I thank you very much. And I will end this section by welcoming you with some major news. Good afternoon. Jacqueline Hughes-Lundy, founder of the Inspiring Women Awards, and this year we will be celebrating 26 years. Over the years, many people have challenged me about my awards and asked me why I've never organised an Inspiring Man Award. Normally I tell them to sod off, but I think actually maybe now is the time that we do need to recognise our inspiring men as well. So my big announcement is that in 2019, we will be hosting an Inspiring Man Awards. Clearly this is a new set of awards, and before we made the decision to go ahead with it, we had to really see what the calibre of talent was out there. So we've cast the net a little bit wider than the northwest of England and North Wales. We've looked at the north, Wales, Scotland, all of England actually. We may have to go into Europe before Brexit, but I am quite sure that we will get the same talent and calibre that we have in a much smaller region for our Women Awards. We even looked at the sort of celebrities that, you know, the audience might appreciate and like to celebrate. So we thought about, oh no, not him. No, definitely not. Not anymore. Him too, don't think so. Maybe we'll have to rethink about the celebrities. Part of the thought process of having these Inspiring Men Awards goes back many years ago, when I actually thought that the need for Inspiring Women Awards would probably have gone by now. You know, we'd have women much more prevalent on footsie boards, for example. The gender pay gap would not exist, and that we would just be celebrating equality and not have a need for anything very specific. Okay, it hasn't quite worked out, has it? Because actually the gender pay gap is ridiculous and the numbers on boards are still not there. However, I have committed to the Inspiring Men Awards, and they will they won't happen. Tom, I can't do it. Cut. These awards are not happening. Because actually to put my efforts into Inspiring Men Awards, when we still have a great need for role models out there for young women, for role models for women of my age who do things quietly against adversity, that actually set up businesses and employ people against the odds, that's where my efforts still need to lie. That's why Inspiring Women Awards will continue. Please don't think that I think there are no inspiring men out there. Of course there are. And of course they should be celebrated. But I think that's someone else's job. I think my job is to continue celebrating women because that's what we do best. Oh, I think I've just freed up a couple of months. Oh, brilliant. More time for gin.
Well, where's 12 months gone? Deloitte, I think we're in our 20th year of sponsoring the business category, and the years seem to fly by quicker and quicker. Delighted with the finalists this year. I think it just shows what a broad range of inspiring business women we've got in the region. So I'd just like to hand over to Margaret to announce the winner.
Somebody gave me a wonderful expression. Consultants are like seagulls. They come and they shit all over you and then they leave. Now, my thing about that is, you bring them in because you don't effing well know how to solve what it is. So if they come in and just tell you what's wrong, you go, yeah, I know. That's why I want you here. But then they go away having charged you an arm and a bloody leg. So I learned in the last 2 or 3 years, and by the way, I've always had mentors, people who are cleverer than I am. I'm a chronic dyslexic. I'm brilliant at being me, but there's a shitload of stuff that I'm no good at. I don't know how to do, and I'm very proud of what I can't do. Guess why? Because you employ other people, and they can do what the bits you can't do. So going back to the mentor side, or the consultant side. So what happened the last time, which was about 2 or 3 years ago now, I said to the guy, and he came with his wife, they were both consultants, I said, you come in and shit all over me and tell me what I know I'm doing wrong and don't help me to actually see how to put it right. It ended up with redundancies and all sorts of horrible things, which I knew, but I didn't know how to do it because I'd never done it before. So he said yes, and so did she. Now, I did exactly as he guided me because I trusted him. The winner is Sarah Prowess.
Hi everyone, thank you very much on behalf of Sarah Prowse. She's a very, very inspiring CEO, fantastic woman. And she is all about empowering women because Leslie and I didn't know we were coming here to accept this award. We thought about 5 minutes ago we were going to be on film as well. So she has confidence in the women in her business. She's doing a fantastic job at Hotter. And if you ever want comfortable shoes, you know where to come. Thank you very much.
I'm absolutely delighted to be supporting and sponsoring this award. In higher education, we are in a privileged and unique situation where we can influence the next generation of female business leaders. And I'd like to invite everyone in this room to help me to do that. You've all got a journey of your own, things that you've done. And I'd like to invite you into the business school and to talk about what you've done and how you've done it to inspire the next generation. So if you'd like to do a presentation or be a coach or a mentor for any student, my colleagues are on these tables 2 and 3. Please drop your business card off and help us inspire that next generation. Thank you.
Very nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Jacqueline. It's lovely to be back. I am the aforementioned veteran broadcaster, recently gone grey Andy Crane. Although I just think it's a trick of the light, little girls. I don't know what it's like. I love this event. There's like no queue at the gents for a start. It's brilliant. Not that there's ever a very long queue at the gents, but with all you, God, it must take ages for all of you between courses. You're supposed to talk about inspiring women, and it's hard not to when you're in a room full. And when you know you're coming, you think of the inspiring women in your own life, and a lot of people will turn to their mum. Now, I can't for personal reasons. My mum left us when she was only 46 and I was only 19. I have no doubt that she would have been fabulously inspiring, but I never got to have that journey with my mum. However, I met and married one of the most inspiring women I know. I can tell you about her because she's not here. She'd be telling me to shut up if she were here. She's actually at school. She's a teacher. She's put up with me for more than 25 years, which is an inspiration in itself. But she works in a primary school just outside Greater Manchester as the deputy head, in a school where if you said the kids were disadvantaged, you would be being generous. There have been cases where children have come to school with a pocket full of dry Rice Krispies in their coat for breakfast. Right? It's that kind of school. And Caroline chose to go there. She could have gone to some lovely suburban school where the children are dropped off in SUVs and blah, 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 but she didn't. My wife inspires by making the children aspire. There are kids, you know, who have been in families where not having a job is the norm. And she's trying to get those kids to believe that you can achieve and you can do better than, or move out on, or move on, or move up. And I marvel at her every day. She has delivered for me 3 beautiful daughters, so I am surrounded by women at my house. This is like kitchen at mine, they said today. And they, I have to tell you, have been inspired by their mum. I am a radio and television presenter, which, let's be candid, it's vacuous nonsense, most of what people like. It really is. It's lovely and it's entertaining and it's fun, but it's vacuous nonsense, most of what I do. Caroline does her good work. My children have steered very well clear of the silly world of the media. One has followed her into primary education, and 2 of them are, one is about to be working in the health service when she qualifies, and one is already working in the health service. My wife is a fabulous inspiration, as are the ladies you will meet this afternoon. It's an absolute joy to be here. My pleasure this afternoon is to present the Inspiring Young Woman Award. I have nothing to say about her, save watch this.
My name is Hallie and I am 17 years old. I started dancing when I was about 3 years old. I mainly started with your basics like ballet, tap, jazz. I stopped dancing when I moved from that dance school, but then through high school I took part in after school dance. That was just something that kept me involved in it because I always had a passion for it. I moved out of Manchester just to move in with my mum. It was just like a personal choice. I am down as my mum's carer. When I moved back to Manchester, they couldn't put me in a school straight away, so I wasn't in school for about a month during my GCSE period, which was quite hard. I didn't know really what to revise for.
Hallie, you wouldn't have known straight away. She comes across like a really supported young lady. But when we first started talking to her, I had to do like a report on these young people about the backgrounds and stuff. And I found out that Hallie was actually at a PRU, which is a people referral unit. So I started doing a lot more one-to-ones with Hallie. Anyway, she opened up about her issues at school now. She wasn't really coping. She just didn't feel like she could cope with her home life being as hectic as it was, as well as being at school.
When I was in the high school, I was down for doing PE, theory, history, and I couldn't do that when I went to the PRU. I was quite let down, to be honest, because I had a lot of hopes of what I could do. I wanted to do dance and maybe performing arts in college. It was just a bit hard.
The PRU won't put her through to her exams, so then in the end she did on her own. She paid out of her own money to go do her exams.
I managed to sit both my English literature and language. I also did a certificate in biology and I came out with an A in art.
We've all been in a situation where someone's told you something, you've gone, oh okay. You tell it Hallie and she'll be like, no. We've got a lot of young girls from this area and they don't think that they deserve better in life. And they see Hallie as an amazing role model because she does stuff with the ambassadors, so she's one who comes in and these girls meet straight away.
On International Women's Day, we held a fundraiser for the Factory Youth Zone I got offered the chance to do a speech about my experience. She stood up there in front of a billionaire, in front of models, wags, all that kind of stuff, and just spoke. Someone came over and they said they enjoyed my speech and they made a direct donation of £4,000 towards the factory as a result of my speech. It made me quite proud of myself, to be honest, because I didn't realise my speech could be that powerful.
When that kid hits 18, she's going to be someone very inspiring. Everyone's going to know.
I actually don't know what to say, to be honest. I didn't think I'd get asked to say a few words. But I'd just like to say thank you, because I didn't expect anything like this. I'd say from a year ago I wouldn't be in this position. I'd be sitting my exams, I'd just be revising at home, and now I'm here, which is something quite amazing. I missed college for this as well, so that's a good thing, yeah. So I managed to get into college and I'm doing the course that I wanted to do, which is Level 3 Fashion and Textiles. So I'm doing that.
I'd just like to say welcome to everybody, and I think your women are amazing. I think you're absolutely wonderful. You do a better job than I do. I think that's really good. And as for the nice lady with the otter shoes, which I support, I think they're wonderful. In fact, I'm going to get another pair. Anyhow, I met my friend Jacqueline one night at the Lowry Diary party. We was a bit with the sherries, but we had a really good night, and she's fun and she's brilliant, isn't she? Isn't she good? Absolutely. I won't mention the Sanister bar, I'll leave it at that. I'd just like to say a little antidote, might cheer you up. I was in Singapore, as you know I'm an actress, and I was in Singapore, and me and my friend, we're going around the Chinese market, and he says, there's a little Chinese lady following us around the market. I said, well, we're in Singapore, they're all Chinese. Just let her go. Anyhow, fair enough. She came up and she was lovely. She was only about that big. I'm only small, but she was smaller than me. And she says, thank you, she said. Phoenix Night, shameless lady, I know you very well. I said, oh, my mother wouldn't know me. I've got dark glasses, a bush hat and shorts. She said, I know you, I know you. I thought, oh, isn't that nice? I thought, ah, that's lovely, that. So we was on his way to Australia. And when we arrived, I'm making this short, by the way. When we got to Australia, we was in the long queue, you know, where you're going in and, you know, like this here. And this lady come up with a clipboard and she says, I know you, don't I? Shameless lady. I said, yeah. She said, follow me. So she got us out at queue through the back door and out that way. So it works sometimes, you know. Anyhow, you're fantastic, you ladies. I really admire you, I really do. And I can't, you know, I'm a funny lady, I'm a comedian, as you know. And I'm working on something now down London, which is going to come shortly. It's called Scarborough, set in Yorkshire. And when I was in Benidorm, Darren, who wrote Benidorm, it's finished now. He's wrote this, so it's going to be really fun. So there we are. I like comedy, see. So just like Jacqueline when she's out. And there was if I'm boring, just tell me. Another time I'm walking on the seafront, going out for a meal in Spain. People are stopping you how they do, which I don't mind. It's part of the job. You get paid for that, don't you? And then this lady came up, very elderly lady, well dressed, and she looked and she says, "You're that prostitute, aren't you?" And I said, "No, I'm a madame." She says, "Well, I don't like that programme." She said, "It's awful. The language, the sex, the swearing, the drugs." I said, "Well, why don't you switch off, love? Switch over." "Well," she said, "I do get a laugh out of Frank." She says, "I don't swear, but I know all the words now." I said, "Right." And so they were laughing at her, you know what I mean? Then she walked off, and then she turned around, she said, "But in my mind, you're still a prostitute." And the winner is Eve Ollett.
I've already said a lot more than I was expecting to say this afternoon. I wasn't quite prepared for this. But actually, I'm hoping for some comedy lessons.
I spoke before about passion, and one of the things that we've picked up from everybody who's come or been interviewed is if you ain't doing it with passion, don't bloody do it. Find something else to do. Because if you haven't, don't get out of bed excited, from having had an exciting night as well, by the way. And I do believe that partner should be perfect, because if it isn't, move on as well. So get up and be excited and apply yourself. You've only got one bloody life to lead. It might as well be right, mightn't it? The other thing you have to have in life for yourself, and nobody else can bloody well do this for you, is yourselves, and it's your health. I do everything alternatively. I do maintenance, not breakdown. And I have religiously done this for 30, 40 years. It doesn't mean I bloody run and do all those crazy things. I don't do any of that. I just do supplements that my body needs when they're needed, which means that I don't have time out. I cannot, as an entrepreneur, ring in and go, oh, I can't come in today because I'm sick. It doesn't work. So I absolutely say to you, please take responsibility for yourselves. And something that a lady mentioned to me earlier is a book called The Secret. Who's read it? Yes! Very good. 10 out of 10. And it's a book for life, by the way. It's not a book for just now or when you've got issues. It's a book for life. As I told you before, I put out that I wanted somebody to come and help me do what I didn't know how to do. For political reasons, for all sorts of reasons. Business has not been as brilliant as it might have been in the last 2 years. I've had this particular business for 36 years. And I was sick and tired at 75, 6, whatever it is I am, pushing and pulling and making things happen. So we got in an all singing, all dancing, make it happen man. And he was created, I'm not religious, but he was created out there for us. And he's come in and he's doing everything. When I mentor other companies, I can do it because I know how to do somebody who's smaller than I am. I don't mean physically, somebody smaller business. And he's incredibly savvy, knows, and he's been out in the world doing what I don't know how to do in the big boy world, as I call it, in the big world. So he's come in to do that. Now, a lot of people feel that you have to do everything yourself. And the last thing I'll say is, if you can't bloody do something, get somebody who can do it and pay them. You can't do everything. I love what I can't do, and I absolutely admire myself for what I can do. Amen, sisters. Entrepreneur, the winner is Jennifer Bailey.
This is a proper shock because all the women that have spoken so far, I feel like they've really, really contributed to how, to changing women's lives. And I kind of feel like, yes, I have changed women's lives because they get to go to lovely do's and wear lovely shoes now. And if I hadn't created this brand, I wouldn't have been able to have been nominated. I couldn't have come to this do because I couldn't have rocked up in my dress and trainers. So I kind of feel like I have changed women's lives, but in a very, very different way to a lot of these amazing women in here. So, I am absolutely awed and inspired by some of the things that I've heard today. And I kind of feel like I should say thank you to somebody, even though they're not here. And I want to say thank you to my mum and dad. My dad isn't with me anymore. He passed away a few years ago. But he always brought me up to not think about gender as any kind of block to what you want to achieve in your life. And so I didn't actually realise it was a thing until I got, probably into my, I don't know what age, but I didn't realise it was a thing. And so until I was 14, I was going to be an astronaut. I was going to NASA and I was going to be an astronaut. And then I realised I wasn't clever enough But that's the way, you know, my dad brought me up, and my mum has always worked full time. I'm the oldest of 4 children, and she has very much, you know, always been quite inspirational for me, and the both of them have made me think that it doesn't matter what you want to do, you just have to have a go and see what happens. So this is to them, even though, you know, we're not here today, but this is for them. Thank you very much.
Wow, what can I say? Those stories were amazing. Moira, Chloe and Fiona working in their community, changing people's lives, saving lives. Some of it done in their own spare time with another job. And those stories are fantastic, and that's the reason why at Radio Manchester we really love supporting this particular award. Although your stories have been fantastic all afternoon, and in fact some of the stories have been live on the radio this afternoon as well. So thank you for everyone who shared those. It's a room full of amazing role models, and you know, they are just great stories to share with the whole of Greater Manchester. The other story I just wanted to share with you briefly is that we've got our own inspiring woman as well. We've just launched a new breakfast show, and for the first time we've got a woman hosting it by herself on her own, which I think is probably the first for a radio station in Manchester. So if you haven't tried it yet, try the Chelsea Norris Breakfast Show. But without any further ado, Alice, over to you. Thank you.
Well, I can't believe I'm in this room full of wonderful women when I'm just a mere actress. I can't do it. You know, what you do is wonderful, wonderful. But I'd just like to say, I have written a book, if anyone's interested. It's called Who the Hell is Alice? They did want to alter it, but I said no. Who the hell is Alice? And I think you can buy it on Amazon. And it's about my autobiography, warts and all, everything that's happened to me. I haven't hid anything. So it's a good read, I've been told. Now, I believe when it first came out, the publisher in London said, it's sold out, Alice, in the first month. I said, really? They said, yeah, in India. I said, who do I know in India? Anyhow, there we go. If you want a good read, it's good. But on a lighter note, I'd just like to say, for 10 years I was on that programme, as you know, and I stayed in the Hilton Hotel here in Piccadilly, and I used to meet all kinds of people coming and going, and I loved it. And this here morning, I'm having my breakfast, I'll never forget it, and this man come up to my table and he says, I hope you don't mind, he said, you're American, he says, I know you are a good British comedy actress, and I know you. I said, no, I think you've got that wrong. I know you don't know me. And it was William Defoe. And I were amazed. And he said, can we have a picture? I said, yeah. So we had a picture. And then he said, are you working today? I said, yes. He said, well, are you working tonight? I said, no, I'm not a night lady. He said, would you mind having a drink in the bar? I said, oh, I'd love to. So we got on great, and he was a wonderful, wonderful man, and I've never forgotten it. And then strange things happened to me. I was coming up Deansgate with my friend one night, going out, and this man come up beside me. I didn't catch what he said. He just said something, Charlie. So I said, who do we know called Charlie? I don't know. He said, come away, it's not Charlie, it's another Charlie. He's selling drugs, come away. I said, oh, I'm sorry, we don't know anybody called Charlie. But these things happen to me, you know. But I have really enjoyed this afternoon, I really have. And I think you're wonderful people, absolutely wonderful. Congratulations to every one of you. And the winner is Maura Jackson.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. Sometimes I'm asked to do inspirational speeches at different women's events locally. And one of the things that I use as a bit of a gimmick is native Indian headdress. Cost me $3.25 from the fancy dress shop. So put it on, which is a bit awkward, but there's big feathers sticking up and big feathers all around. And what I say to them is that when I was Googling my research for the event that I was going to, I realised that the term chief is gender neutral, and I never knew that, because in all the black and white films you see all the chiefs are always blokes, aren't they? So apparently, in days gone by, Indian chiefs could be women as well as men, and in fact it was about a 50-50 ratio. and all the feathers on the headdress represented coming back from a battle unharmed. So therefore, by implication, if you had the headdress on, you were the strongest and bravest in the tribe. So I would just like to say, celebrate your headdresses, put another feather in today, because we've all effing well earned one. Thank you.
We are delighted to be sponsoring the Inspiring Women Awards 2018. We're newcomers to the awards, but when we heard about the work founder Jacqueline had been doing and the reasons for the awards, we felt strong links with what we are trying to achieve within the North West region through our Enterprising Women Network, who join us today. We've enjoyed meeting some of the people involved in the awards and some of the winners from last year. I defy anyone not to be inspired by Dee's story, last year's winner, or Helen's projects at the Cheshire Community Foundation. You have inspired us. We have our own inspiring woman here today from the Lancashire School of Business and Enterprise. We held our competition in the school for the most inspiring female member of staff. And Dr. Gemma Wibberley's research into domestic violence in the workplace is breaking new ground. This year, we are celebrating 100 years of women gaining the vote. And yet, with women making up around a quarter of UK boards and the gender pay gap still an issue, we still have some way to go. As a business school, we are committed to social and ethical values, nurturing women business leaders of the future and creating an atmosphere where female staff and students feel supported. Sharing inspirational stories is an important part of providing a supportive atmosphere and growing the future generation of leaders. And we look forward to hearing more of the stories today and continuing the conversation with you. Enjoy the rest of the event.
The event will be concluding shortly. A couple more important things to do, not least of which is to present our final award of the afternoon. This is called the Constance Award, not consistence or constantly, the Constance Award. Coincidentally, my maternal grandmother was called Constance, but it's not her the award is named after, it's somebody entirely different. This will explain.
For 2018, we have a new award which we didn't ask for nominations for, but the winner of that award, and it's an inaugural award, was chosen from all those women who had been nominated. The award is called the Constance Award, and it's named after my mum, Connie, who passed away in October last year. And the reason why I wanted to celebrate my mum is because most of us, when asked who our inspirations were, would always start with our mothers or maybe our grandmothers, because those are the women who shaped us, who were our earliest role models. My mum left school at 14. Had she had the opportunity to pass the 11+, she would almost definitely have gone to grammar school and probably beyond. She could add up a column of figures faster than any calculator I've ever used. She was phenomenal. She was never a captain of industry. She worked in the co-op all her life as a shop assistant and didn't really have any ambitions beyond that. But she planted seeds for both my sister and myself that have seen us go through university and grammar school systems. She sacrificed a lot to make sure that we had a good education. I can remember her complaining about my Latin verbs when Coronation Street was on, but she still did it with me. And she, as I say, was my role model. And I wanted to honour her in the best way possible, which was to name an award after her. Fortunately, she's called Constance. So we wanted an award for someone who was consistent, who was constant, who hadn't sought anything, but just had gone out there and either provided for the family or been a good role model, or just gone out there and done it, really. And that's what the Constance Award is about. It's not necessarily about recognising someone who has achieved highly, but it is about recognising someone who has made a difference. And thank you, Mum, for being called Constance, because if it was the Aggie Award, then it would have been a lot harder to sell. So I would now like to hand over to Louise Taylor from Cheshire Life, who has sponsored this award, for her to explain a little bit more about the inaugural winner.
I promise I won't talk for very long. I really won't, because I know it's 4:20, but this is a really important award. And I can hardly speak now because I know, obviously, how Jackie was affected when her mum died. And we all know, most of us looking to have lovely mothers, we know how important they are to us. So I won't go on, but I just have to say, and I've said something similar in the past, but we've made references to Jacqueline throughout the afternoon about, you know, what great fun she is, and she certainly is, and how she's a laugh and she likes a sherry or two. But do you know what? There's so much more to her than that. And those of you who have been around a long time like me will remember that she's actually a bloody clever devil. She just referred to her mum and, you know, could add up. Well, Jacqueline was the financial director of a very big legal firm in Manchester, and she chose to just have a change of career, like you do. And this really is part of that change of career. She just thought, I'll do something different, and she didn't make a song and dance about it. And she obviously gets it from somebody called Constance, because who does this sound like? Well, what she did was more important. She helped me with my Latin verbs, as she said. And she was witty, kind, demanding, a flirt, and when you least expected it, incredibly wise. And I think that is Jacqueline all over. And on behalf of all my colleagues at Cheshire Life, I'm delighted to be handing this over to...
In 1985, she was made redundant from a job in the insurance world. She used a £2,500 redundancy cheque to found her own firm. She ran it from a kitchen table in the family home. She had a young family with her husband at the time. She'd spotted this gap, you see, in the insurance market. She set up a business providing insurance to, of all things, owners of vintage motorbikes. Who would have thought? And then it expanded. It covered all kinds of bikes. She is welcomed, I'm told, like royalty at any biker event she ever chooses to attend. I'm speaking of an organisation called the Carol Nash Insurance Consultancy. Carol was in her 40s and she'd been made redundant and she needed dosh with her husband Fred. But her first thoughts were for who should I employ and who should they be and from where should I draw my staff? Women like herself, women that had young children, women that needed work, but come on, you're on the 9 to 5, you can't do that because you've got kids or you've got a school run or they get ill or whatever. Women that couldn't tie themselves to the traditional working day. Carol, way ahead of her time to some degree, gave them flexible home working. She treated them like family. She employed them with family values. The business, not surprisingly, grew. But Carol was also about the customers. She and Fred would spend hours, I'm told, getting to know those customers. Now, you know, I don't know what your reaction is when you see a group of airy bikers riding past you or approaching you. Now, Carol's there with her husband Fred, appearing at bike shows in this country and abroad. She built her business with sheer hard work. She sold it in 2006. It had 250,000 customers. I think I have a figure here that she sold it for. It's an embarrassingly large figure, she might tell you, but she's blooming well worked for it. Please welcome, to tell us a bit more about her story, the inaugural recipient of the Constance Award, ladies and gentlemen, Carol Nash. Well, congratulations. How far in did I have to get before you'd figured out it were you? One sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. 1985, you thought that sounds familiar. Are you prepared to tell us what that business you started with a £2,500 redundancy cheque was sold for?
I've given a lot of it away now.
I know you have, and that's the nice thing. I want to dwell on that in a minute, but I just want people to know how hard you worked and how successful you were. Started with your £2,500 cheque. The figure you sold it for was?
70 million.
70 million, ladies and gentlemen. But you've done such wonderful work with that 70 million, haven't you? There's a Carol Nash room somewhere. There's a Carol Nash house. We better talk about this. Where is Carol Nash House?
Carol Nash House is with the Outward Bound out in Abu Dhabi, and I refurbished one of the houses for underprivileged children, and instead of, I think it was 600, it could accommodate 1,200, so they could all come from and have a week outward bound. But the Duke of Edinburgh was so thrilled what I'd done, he came down personally to open it with me. Then he invited me to lunch 3 times.
Not once, not twice.
Frogmore House, and I think there's a unique, how can I say, because I sat next to him and I dropped my serviette on the floor, as I always do when I'm out for eating out. And I can say that the Duke of Edinburgh picked my serviette up off the floor 3 times.
Marvellous. It's a story to dine out on, isn't it? So we've got the Carol Nash house. What's the Carol Nash room?
The Carol Nash room is the art room at the Lowry, the art room for underprivileged children. I've got the Royal Northern with the room and the what I did as well, we put more technology in, so when students go for their first interview in their professional life, they had up-to-date equipment, so their recordings were top-notch, so they had a good job.
Are you planning to put your name in any more rooms in or around Greater Manchester?
The Chet's as well.
Oh, there's another one. OK, I'm just... Yeah, right, OK. So you better tell us the one about Chet's. What happens there, the music school?
Got a room as well to give the children more, especially the underprivileged ones, gives them the opportunities that they could have if they just had the money, but they haven't, but they still go forward.
So you've used that word a lot, underprivileged, underprivileged, underprivileged. What is it that drives you? You've got 70 million quid. I know none of us need 70 million quid. You've decided to spend some of it. What drives you to support all these people and these kids?
I think when I went to school, I was born in Moss Side, went to a little school, and the motto was, we are not born for ourselves alone. And that's always kept with me all along. Even I used to share with my staff as well. All the staff had the same as I did. And my daughter's here today, and she's the one that has given me support as well. But I've got 8 grandchildren. I've been married 54 years.
Come on, eh? 54.
The most important thing, I've got 6 chihuahuas.
Right, what are they called? All 6 names. Go on.
Holly and Ivy.
2.
They were born on Christmas Day.
No, really.
Yes, they were.
That's 2.
Stan and Ollie.
3 and 4.
And Julia and Cody.
Well done. Now, can you remember all 8 grandchildren's names? No, I'm joking. You probably can. I must just tell you that, obviously, Carol probably doesn't tell this. She's an OBE as well, aren't you? You got an OBE, didn't you, as well? You got the OBE. Tell me the story of how you nearly didn't find out about the OBE.
Well, a letter came in the post and it had some official stamp thing on, and I thought, oh my God, it's a tax letter or something, and I didn't open it till the next day. And when I looked at it, I thought, oh my God, what's this? But OBE can stand for good thing, but it can be old bike expert as well.
Which you definitely are, and you are a tremendous lady, and we're absolutely delighted for the work that you've done, for the inspiration you've been, the opportunities you've given to so many over such a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, the Constance Inaugural Award winner, Carol Nash OBE!
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know where to start. I wish I'd had 3 glasses of wine instead of 2. But all I can say is I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured to be standing here today with this award, especially it's for Jackie's mum, who passed away last year, and that means even more to me as a mother and a grandmother, and the inspiration that you have to give as a mum and a grandmother. But I'd just like to say thank you for everybody for all the support over the years and the happiness and the joy that I've tried to give to people, even though I'm a City supporter.
Oh, you've not had a bad season, really, to be fair, have you?
No. And just thank you very much. And I'm sure my life, when I was made redundant in 85, I never envisaged anything like would happen. I was made redundant, and all I was concerned about was finding school fees for my daughter and son. So I started on the dining room table, as Jackie said. So thank you very much. I really am honoured.
Fantastic. Well done. Very well done.